Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So, here we are. We got a bed floor. Boom. There it is. Don't worry, it's flipped over and ups, yeah, this is the bottom. Because this is what we're working on today. I've already gone through this guy and done a little cleanup job on it, trying to get the welds cleaned up as best I could. Make it look, halfway decent. So, I got all that stuff done. And then basically we're kind of at the point of let's put the accessories on. We've got the, let's walk over here. So we've got the seal plates, or the cross seals, those little captured nut things. We got these little cups that go for the rear seat mount. And then we have these body mount reinforcement plates. So we've got all those parts we've got to get on the bed floor. If you remember back, I made a little cardboard thing that has, dimensions and measurements and all that stuff. So I've got this guy. I figure I probably ought to just go through here, take some measurements, put some, what is that, grease pencil? Put some grease pencil marks down so I can get stuff started, kind of lining up. Just kind of rough it in right now. Get a rough layout of how things are going to go. And that'll also give me an idea what holes I need to drill, because I know the bed mount, the mid body mount locations are not any way, shape, or form marked on the same. So I got to figure out where those guys are going to live. So I'm going to get started on that. I don't know if the thing's going to go in this weekend or not. I really hope this bed floor will go in this weekend. But Jackson got him a job, so he's working now. And he's pretty much going to be gone all day today. So by the time I finish this up, he's not going to be here. And there's no way just picking this thing up with just me. I've had to pick it up and flip it over a couple times. There's no way I could gracefully put this in the back of the truck. So there'd be mass chaos ensuing everywhere over there. So basically he doesn't have to work tomorrow, so hopefully tomorrow morning we can get out here, we can get the bed floor in, as long as everything else works out. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna get to it, so we'll catch up with y'all here in a bit. Alrighty, so went ahead and just did all this off camera, got the grease pencil out, got the tape measure out, and started measuring stuff. So here's what we got so far. If you remember back, we got 11 inches to the first one. So marked 11 inches on both sides, lined it up. And then it was 25 3/4, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 25 3/4 to this guy. Marked it on both sides, got him lined up. And then 35 inches to this guy. So again, marked it here and over there. Got it, lined up, ready to go. These reinforcement plates, I didn't mark these. I didn't write down any measurements on my little thing. Dumb mistake. But I do recall that this guy has a little, if you look at these, you can see they kind of have a little bump up because it sits on top of this. So my best guess is it's going to sit midway on this rib. So that way that spot weld works, that one and this one. Same on that side. So I got all these guys lined up, ready to go. I'll double check measurements on this. I'll put a tape on it and measure the body mount hole in the truck. So I'll verify this guy should be there, but I'm pretty sure that's where he's going to live. And then I guess what I'm going to do is go through here and mark all my holes that I have from where I drilled out all the spot welds. It's a lot of marking. And then I'll get my little roll lock out and just, scuff the metal a little bit. And that way we got some metal to actually weld to. So I guess I'm gonna get started on that, measuring and getting this stuff for this guy. Measure and get that number correct. Same for that side. And then I guess go through and start scuffing paint and getting these guys ready to start spot welding in. So, oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know, when you have stickers and crap like that on, like your replacement panels and stuff, I just got a little bit of diesel fuel and just basically rubbed it down, and just going to let it sit there on all the stickers. I got, you know, 3 on the back side here. There's a couple on the top of it. I haven't done those yet. I'll do those later. But little diesel fuel, rub it in there. That'll loosen that adhesive right up. And then when we go to pour 15 all this, it's, you know, there's a degreaser that, you know, in that process. So we'll go through with that degreaser, and that'll take care of all that stuff. Or we'll just hit it with some brake clean and then hit it with the degreaser stuff. So yeah, that's about it right now. So I'm gonna go make some measurements, and then I guess get started, you know, knocking some paint off. All right, so let's measure these guys out. So we have about 30 and a half, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 and a half. I don't know, maybe a little parallaxed here. Maybe 30 and a quarter. Oh, let's see. I can't tell. That may be 30 and a quarter. 30 and a quarter, 30 and a half, somewhere in that neighborhood. Let's measure this side. This side is 30 and a half. So why is this side different? Huh. We're gonna call it 30 and a half. So 30 and a half from the front, and then, oh, let's see. And then we got about 12 inches. 12 and an eighth, maybe, to the side. Now, this side will be a little off because this piece is flared out a little bit. So I would expect, yeah. So we're showing 11 and 3/4. So we'll go with 12 inches. Now these guys, that's a pretty good size hole. The bolt definitely isn't that size. You know, it's a much smaller bolt hole or bolt that goes in there. So there'll be a little bit of playroom here. And if we're a little bit off, I can always take the hole and open it up a little bit if need be. Like I said, it's not that big a deal on this part. So if we're just a little bit off, there's room to wiggle. So we'll go with 30 and a half by 12. See if that works. The only problem that I think I might have is these guys were taking the top of the carriage bolt is square. I don't know how to put a square hole and stuff. So we'll figure that out here in a minute. So my thought is I'll go through and drill a round hole and then just take and file the edges down to make it, you know, square it off. So that may be what we do. That may not be. I don't know at this point, but we'll figure that out. So I guess I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna mark that and probably go ahead and start marking all the other spot welds I got to do so I can get, you know, everything off of it and get to, you know, sanding it down to metal and get it ready to start taking some plug welds. So I guess I'll catch back up with y'all over there. Alrighty, so we've got little dots everywhere. Little dots everywhere. So we'll go through, hit those with the little roll lock, just buzz the paint off real fast, and that way I can get this stuff lined all back up. And then we can start buzzing it in and getting stuff seated. These guys, they actually, it's really nice because they pretty much just fit right here, so you don't have to worry about up and down movement. Side to side, it's a little tricky, so basically I just centered it between these two ribs here on both sides, and then these guys I just made sure that, you know, that was lined up with there. So Not a whole lot to it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go through here, knock the paint off of these spots so that way we can get to it with the welder. So check back in a minute. Alrighty, so went through, buzzed all my little marks off. Now she's polka dotted. Also, I don't necessarily know if this is needed or not, but I went through, took a little file and just kind of hit the inside edge of these guys to clean that pour 15 off so it gets some good metal. So I went through and literally hit every single one of these holes on all these pieces. So so we're about ready to start, you know, tacking these guys down. I'm gonna get everything lined up and probably use a clamp to clamp this stuff, and you know, that way it doesn't move when I start going. Yeah, I guess that's the next step. Get through here and start putting some spots down. It's much better than drilling them out. So now there is a process to this. This front cross seal, not so much a deal. You can do it whenever. Rear one, whenever. The middle one, you have to put the cross seal in first before you put these reinforcement plates in, because those guys overlap over this edge. So this is really the only spot that you have to do some sort of little process to. So this cross seal has to go in, then these reinforcement plates go in. So just a little food for thought. So all right, I'm gonna get everything set up, drag the welder back over here, get it all hooked up, all that good stuff, and we'll catch up here in a minute. Alrighty then, so now We are all plug welded up. Everything is on here. That's still hot. That one is too. The rest of the stuff is good to go. Yeah, it's pretty standard stuff. Nothing really too crazy going on here. The only aggravating thing is this still has a nice little bowl shape to it. Luckily for me, this measured out to where it was just past the seam, so this should be able to, you know, flex once I get it in there. Basically have Jackson stand on it or something and put some weight on it, so that way I can get the plug welds on the side that'll hold it where it should be. So yeah, only other thing that I think I might run into, and I thought about this, you know, before when I put just the rear part in, was yeah, you know, if you look back at the video I did, whatever, last week I guess, where I put just the rear in there with it welded together to try to get it, I had to basically fold it, you know, bend it to get it to, you know, go in the truck. That may be a little bit more difficult now because it's all one piece, and then we're also reinforced up to here. So so we might have to get a little creative with that. I'm not sure exactly what we might do, but you know what? It's metal. We got a welder. We'll figure something out. Just, you know, kind of off the top of my head, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you know what? Worst case, I could just cut a slit here and cut a slit here. That'll let this guy fold. And I can do the same thing over there. And then once it's in the truck, get it folded, you know, back down, weld up this back edge, maybe be able to weld up this, you know, this little section right here. May not even be that important right there. So, so that may be what we end up doing in order to get these guys to kind of bend and go and do all that fun stuff. So, so yeah, I'm gonna let this thing sit and cool off. Once it gets finished cooling off, well, while it's cooling off, I'm gonna go get some lunch. But once it finishes cooling off and everything, I'll get back out here and I'll start the pour 15 process on this, because that's gonna take a hot minute. That's a lot of surface area to cover and a lot of nooks and crannies to get in. So, so I'll get out here with that stuff and, you know, give it the good wipe down and clean up on the bottom side, make sure this is all good. And then we'll come back with the etch and do the etching stuff. And then we'll come back and do the pour 15. It's the same process that I did on the tail pan and on that front support and on the outer edge of the bed mount area. It's the same freaking process. I'm not going to film it just because it's the same process. So I figure this is probably going to take an hour or two to get everything sorted out on this, to get to where I can actually start putting the pour 15 on it. And once that pour 15 sits on it, it's going to be, you know, the directions say 2 to 6 hours for it to basically just barely, you know, it's just barely tacky. Then you can put a second coat on. So yeah, so my day's gonna be a lot of waiting, because once that gets done and I get that first coat on, then I put the second coat on, we're probably gonna run out of time for today to get this thing done and actually in the truck, because it's probably gonna have to cure out overnight. And I'll probably have to leave the heater running overnight since it's getting cool in the evenings, or it's staying cool in the evenings. But anyways, so what I'll probably do is I've got, you know, some stuff to button up on the front stuff. So we might work on that a little bit today, and try to get that buttoned up, you know, cleaning up and getting stuff kind of ready. That way when this floor goes in, we can do the entire floor with the pour 15 treatment and have that stuff done. So I'm gonna go get some food, and then I'll come back out here. Hopefully by then everything should be cool, and I'll get started on this other thing. And like I said, I'm not going to record the pour 15 process. Y'all guys know about that. If you're not sure what that process is, I'll link the video up there in the corner. So anyhow, I'll catch back up with y'all once this whole thing's black. So see y'all in a bit. All right, folks. So taking a little break from the floor, driving down the road here, you know, doing like we all do, cruising Facebook Marketplace. Stumbled across something that it might work out, it might not. It's about a half-hour drive from the house, so I'm headed there now. I'm gonna go take a look at it, see if it will suit my needs. Don't know if it will. It's definitely worth the money, but it's one of those, is it worth the hassle? So I'm being a little cryptic here just because, you know, I don't want to tell you what it is. Don't want to spoil the surprise. So just figure we'll roll down the road a little ways and get down here, take a look at it, and see if it's going to be something I want to deal with, something I don't want to deal with. I mean, the price is more than right, and yeah. So I'll kick the camera back on when I get going, you know, when I get there, and you know, get to looking at this thing. So I guess we'll see y'all down there. Well, I'm here. It looked a little rough in the pictures I saw. Whew. It's something. Look at this thing. Good God Almighty. So it's I think a 77, if I remember correctly. What is that, Tasca or whatever? Right there, Clark, is an RV.
But don't you go falling in love with it now, because we're taking it with us when we leave here next month.
No, it's not. This is literally a home for vermin and maybe a meth lab or two. But whew, she's rough. They said that there was some interior damage. It was pretty rough, and you know, there was a hole in the ceiling. But you know, if you come out here and look, you can see where the ceiling's lifting. There's, you know, rust all down the top edge of the sky. So, you know, open up the door and just, wow. So, yeah, this thing is horrible. I mean, my God. You know, I was looking at it for the motor and trans because it's only got 55,000 miles on it. You know, judging by the wear on the brake pad. Yeah, it's kind of comical, isn't it? But I mean, honestly, judging by the wear on the brake pad, look at this thing. It ain't hardly got a bit of wear on it. And it being an RV, that's typically the way it goes. They don't get driven a ton. So usually they don't have an insane amount of mileage on them. This thing's bad. I was actually watching this the other day, or a couple weeks ago. He had it priced at like $500 or best offer. The picture, if I can still find the picture, I'll post it up right here. It's on drive-on ramps, and it's been up there so long, trees have grown through the bumper on the ramps. So I'm guessing it had some sort of mechanical issue, what have you. I don't know. But I was just kind of poking around today. Dropped the price at $350 or best offer. And I'm like, well, crap, I'm gonna have to go look at this thing, because, you know, good motor and trans. I mean, you know, it's worth $350. Even if it ain't a great motor and trans, it's, you know, it's a motor and a trans. Yeah, it's a 77. But anyways, so listen how that door closes. So anyway, so I come down here, and it's only like a half hour from the house, and figure, why not check it out? $350. My thought is like, okay, how plausible is it for me to drive this back to the house? Because I don't have a trailer to tow this honking thing back, because this thing's huge. I don't know how many feet it is, but I mean, she got an ass like an onion. Makes you want to cry. No, it's just, it's got a really long rear end on it. And then, you know, there's the trees that had grown through. So it's kind of neat though. It's got fiberglass. This whole front end's fiberglass. It's got hood pins, so, you know, added HPs there. This little dinky hood, so you can get in here and look at some random stuff. Hydro boost thing. I was like, well, maybe I could turn it over, but it's got a clutch fan on it. And to be honest, I'm not that concerned with it, because yeah, I'm gonna pass, because this is bad. It does have a York air compressor on it. There would be, if there was a hood prop, I'd point at it, but right there in the middle of the screen, that's a York air compressor. So those are worth good money. So yeah, unfortunately, this thing is, whew, she bad. So I think I'm gonna pass. Let me get my hood pins in here. You don't want that flying open going down the road a million mile an hour. But yeah, I just don't have a way to haul this thing. I mean, it's got a full floater rear end. That's kind of cool. Don't know if it's a Dana 70 or a 14 bolt 77. I don't honestly know what they would have gone with in 77. I would guess it's probably like a Dana 70, even bigger than that. But the ground's wet. I'm not climbing around underneath. If it was dry, I'd probably get underneath it just to see what type of trans it is. Can't quite tell from the bell housing. I'm guessing it's a turbo 400. Would make sense. Even with the 350, this thing's probably got gears. It's probably got 411 gears in it just to move this stupid thing. But yeah, that's pretty bad. So look at this thing in its glory. I mean, this would have been a really cool rig down, you know, at another time. You know, just the way these things work. So a couple ideas I'd had with it. One was just motor and trans. That's all I wanted. Maybe the rear end. And then, you know, looking at it, it's got hydro boost. So if the hydro boost stuff's in okay shape, maybe grab that. Definitely wanted that air compressor. That's almost worth the price. But like I said, I don't have a way to tow this. So I was like, I'm going to have to try to get it running and drive it home. Or, you know, do the really safe thing and get a chain and a pipe and tow it home. It's only a 30-minute ride, and I can take all back roads, so no worries there. But whew, she rough. One of the other things I thought was like, well, I mean, if it's in decent enough shape and the back's just garbage, why can't I just take and build a little cab, extra cab type thing in the back and put a roof on it, and then just put a flatbed on it with maybe a dovetail, you know, a little ramp truck action, something like that. But yeah, she's in bad shape, and I I don't really want to bring that many critters to my house, because God only knows what I was living in there. Saw a lot of mouse nests. Didn't really see any big poop, you know, raccoon, possum, those type of things. But yeah, that's if I had some property just to park crap on and just kind of let it sit until I can get around to it, I'd probably jump on that and figure out how to get it over there. You know, I'd probably throw an offer at the guy for like $200. I'll drag it off. But even at $200, there's so much to getting that home, first off. And then second off, I don't want that at my house very long, so I'm going to have to hustle and tear it down. And then I got to drag it all the way down to the scrap place so I can get the thing scrapped. That's if they'll even take it. You know, some places won't take an RV, you know, unless it's just the chassis. So yeah. Oh well, it was a good thought, but you know, little tip for you. It's getting a little chilly. I might should have wore a jacket, but yeah, a little tip for you if you're looking for, you know, just to use motor and tranny for a project. Start scoping RVs. I mean, sometimes they got good miles. They're not in terrible shape. And they got good motor and trans in them. And, you know, you can pick them up fairly cheap. There's another one I'm tempted to do, but it's a big RV. It's actually probably another 20 minutes south of where I am now. But it's got 30 or 40,000 miles on it. And it's a 454 with turbo 400. And the guy said, yeah, just bring a battery. You can drive it home. I'm like, that would be awesome. But it's bigger than that thing. It's definitely not as rough as that. That thing, wow, that's a lost cause. That's immediately a scrap job right there. But this other guy said that, you know, bring a battery, put a little gas in it, and it'll ride. And that one's very tempting. It's a little bit more expensive than this one. I mean, like I said, this one, he got it knocked down to like $350. So it's worth, you know, an hour of my time to come check it out. But yeah, the other one, I think he's got a price of like $800. So I'm very tempted on that one. But again, I had to figure out how to dispose of the stuff I don't want, which is basically the entire thing minus a drivetrain. So anyhow, I guess I'm gonna get back on up to the house and get back to the floors for the Blazer. I did right before I left, I'd just gotten all the acid stuff rinsed off and then toweled it dry. But of course, there's little nooks and crannies for the water to sit. So I've got it sitting in there with the heat turned up and a fan blowing to try to get that water dried up so I can get a couple coats of Pour 15 on it tonight. So anyhow, I'm gonna get back up there and hopefully get some paint thrown on that, so that way tomorrow morning we can drop that sucker in. So I guess we'll catch up with y'all back at the house. Well, all right, folks. So after a very long day, should not have taken this long, but you know, as with everything, it takes forever. So, you know, earlier got everything spot welded in, went through, did the degrease, then did the little acid etch thing, and then first coat seemed like took it about 3-ish hours for it to tack up. Like I said, it's been kind of chilly today. I've been running the heater trying to keep it, you know, warm in the shop, but it still took about 3 or so hours for it to tack up good, where I could do a second coat, and we now have a second coat on it. So this looks really good. Of course, it's super shiny right now, but that's just because I literally just finished with the second coat. So anyhow, so I'm gonna let this thing do its thing, which is just, you know, drying. And then tomorrow morning I'll get Jackson up and we'll get out here and we'll wrestle this thing. Hopefully wrestle this thing into the truck. Could be a mess. I don't know how it's gonna act with those cross seals in there now that it's got good support. So we'll see how it turns out. So anyhow, I'll see y'all in the morning. All right, folks, next day, it's actually afternoon. Jackson ended up closing last night, so he didn't get home till like almost 2. It was like 1:30, something like that. It was late. So I figured I'd be a good dad and let him sleep in. Plus, that gave me time to work on the edit. So here we are. We've got it, it's all dry. It's nice. You know, it's splotchy, but, you know, this is going to be under the truck. Nobody's going to see it. And this stuff doesn't have a UV protectant with it. So you're not going to like paint the outside of your vehicle and it stay nice, because the UV will just, you know, bake it right down. So I could have taken a little bit more time and probably made this a little less streaky. But to be honest, when I put that second coat on, it was at like 10:30. So it was late and I was pretty well over it. So me and Jackson are going to walk this thing over and we're going to get it kind of laid in place and ready to go. And we'll see what you do. All right, just pick this up. We're going to walk it over there. This is the bottom, so. You don't need to stop. We're going to have to tilt it up, so I have to reposition. There you go. Okay. Oh, let's sit it down. And reposition. All right. You're going to have to step back a little bit so that can get you. This has to go up. Okay.
Here, want me to hop in real quick?
Yep. Damn, those spot welds came out pretty good. That one's a little bubbled up. That was around, I guess. Okay, hold up. Get this under there. Okay, so we're going to come up, and these are going to sit on top of the bed rails. Okay, so don't go pulling forward till we get it above the bed rails. Okay. Let your end set.
We gotta scoot it over.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we gotta come forward a little more, I guess. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What's the plan?
So let's. This side seems to be twisting pretty good. All right. Let's see.
You want me to lift my hand up?
Yeah, you're gonna have to figure out a way to get in there and pull my way. There you go. Pull it forward a little up. There you go. Okay.
It's this corner right here. It's
I can see it, Jackson. Oh, there's this one little fastener in the way.
there we go.
Okay.
Boom. Pretty good. Got it.
I got to fix the corner. Well, that went on a lot easier than I anticipated. I was expecting a real fight, but yeah, she dropped right in. So yeah, right now it's kind of all over the place. We got to get, I'll probably have to get Jackson back in the front a little bit and help me to maneuver this guy around and get him lined up where he needs to be. Because right now it's shifted off to driver's side a little bit. There's a corner way up under here that was bent. I don't know how it got curled out, but it was curled out. So I had to lift everything up and bend it back so it didn't dig into the paint any more than it already did. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So we'll get up here, we'll get to working on this and try to get this guy leveled out pretty well. And then we'll check back in here in just a minute. All right. Well, we are in. It worked out about how I thought. I got Jackson to climb out here and basically put his weight on that center, joint right there, since it was kind of bowed up right there. That seemed to flatten it out pretty good. That got our lip over here. I went ahead and put, I don't know if you can see them, but there's a little bolt head right there. There's one like right in here, and there's another one on that end. That one got cross-threaded. But I'm not worried about that right now. I got to open that hole up just a little bit. I guess I missed that one earlier. But anyways, got him to put a little weight on it right here. And that flattened it out real good. Our lip on it came on over the back edge, all the way across. Of course, it's bowed up a little bit over in this corner. But she's sitting in there fairly flat. It's basically whenever I go to welding, doing that spot weld here on this tub to the floor, I'll have to have him, sit, or I got some cinder blocks I can stack up there or something, and just get some weight on that spot so it's nice and flat. And then I'll have to go through and drill some holes back here along this back edge. Basically all the low spots in the ribs. Go through all these little guys, drill some holes so I can get some spot welds done there. That'll hold down the back, but basically I'm going to work from the front to the back because I got bolts up front. My front's latched in really good and tight. It's pretty square. It looks like it might have changed a little bit because our gap is a little bit bigger here on this passenger wheel well than it was when we first fitted all this stuff together. This guy, it's about the same. So what we'll probably do is I'll finish getting those bolts in across the front. That way, if that guy's locked down, he's not moving. It's done there. And then get some weight on it. And then do my plug weld up on the front. And then come on this side, do it. And then move the weight back. Do it again. Do it again. Move it back. Do it again. Do it again. And just keep moving it back until I get to this back piece. And then I'll drill my holes. And there's actually a couple bolts down below. There's a bracket that goes up underneath there that the bed floor actually bolts to. Same thing over here. And I want to say there was a spot up there. Nope, that was at that piece that isn't included with this floor. That little section that goes in front of the wheel wells. There's a spot where it bolts into the wheel well and the front support and all that stuff. So that's going to be the idea now, is to basically work this guy back and make sure it's nice and flat all the way back, or flat-ish. The front floors aren't flat. And if you remember back to what happened there. Well, I done screwed up. So I was trying to lift the cab up to get this front mount out, and the jack rolled back and the thing kind of did this thing. You know why those, especially the driver's side, isn't flat. Whoops. But yeah, basically now it's just going to be starting at the front, working our way back, getting it flattened out pretty good. I've got my measurements for the bed floor mount. Obviously, this one's going to go right in here. This one will go right in here. And then we've got the one mid plate, the mid bed mount, body mount. And I've got the measurement on that, 12 inches off the wheel well and 30.5 off the front. Of course, probably have to change that a little bit because now we have the thickness of the metal to deal with, which is about 1/16 of an inch. So, you know, but I'm pretty tickled. It's exciting to see a floor in this guy that we can stand on and we don't have to worry about it. One thing I did discover as I was laying this floor in, I screwed up. I really don't want to take the floor out and fix it. So we may just kind of go with it and see what happens. I might regret that down the road, but we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Here's what the problem is. Yeah, that guy's not lined up. He might be shifted a little bit. And that guy's actually just fine. But yeah, you can see that guy, I don't know what happened there. Maybe, let's see, this would have been, yeah, this would have been the one I forgot. So I probably wasn't being as careful as I should have whenever I marked everything, because I kind of forgot about that one and had to go back and do it again later. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there. I may end up, if I'm feeling froggy, I may drill the spot welds out from the top. Well, no, because I've got those two seams that I had to weld in. Dang it. I don't know. We'll let it ride. We'll see what happens. Those might get used, at least on a temporary basis. Ultimate plans is we're planning on doing a, what is it, 2000 to whatever, Tahoe Suburban third seat conversion for the back, and then doing those type of buckets and a console up front for all that. So, well, yeah, those may not be an issue down the road, but yeah, we'll deal with it when it comes time. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video off here. I was really hoping to have everything done on this, but I tell you, doing the Pour 15 stuff, like I said, I didn't get that third coat on till it was like 10:30, quarter to 11 last night when I finally got that second coat on. Probably the longest part was waiting on this thing to dry after the acid etch. You know, so you got to rinse it with water and neutralize all that acid stuff. So that took a long time to get this thing dry. And you know, I blew it out with the air, you know, hit it with the fan, hit it with the heat, and it was still giving me little bits here and there. So it took a while for that to dry out. And like I said, it took about 3 hours for that first coat to get tacky enough to put the second coat on. So anyways, that's where we're at. So yes, I'm gonna cut it off at this one. Next week, I think what we'll probably do is work on getting the bed floor, you know, permanently affixed to the truck, and then start working on buttoning up some of the little crap, you know, in the front, and basically get this thing, basically get the whole floor kind of wrapped up. Hopefully next week. Hopefully I'm not shooting myself in the foot, but hopefully we can have everything wrapped up on the floor to where it's ready for cleaning, acid etch, Pour 15, and, you know, so on. Seal seam, you know, all that fun crap. So, but anyhow, I do appreciate y'all guys watching. You know, it helps keep me motivated to keep this stuff going. If you like the video, be sure and hit the like button. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, whatever, throw it down there in the comments. I read them all. And I typically respond pretty quick. If you haven't subscribed and you made it this far in the video, why not? Just, there's the button right down there. Just click it. Helps to grow the channel. So, thanks again for watching. And just remember, folks, it ain't got to be perfect. Just good enough. So, we'll see y'all next week.